You're listening to the Zipline Logistics Truck Yeah podcast, where we explore all kinds of hot topics in the logistics industry. Get ready to learn, laugh, and get your freight on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Zipline Logistics podcast. My name is Jesse Jewett. Joined with me, as always, our Director of Training and Development, Teddy Lee Knox. Teddy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How we doing?
Great. How are you?
Wonderful. We're talking about a hot topic. Actually, it's a cold topic.
Ooh, well done.
Headed into the winter holiday season, winter weather season. We're talking about protect from freeze. What does that mean to you?
It means protecting things from exploding. That's what I first think of. You know, when you leave something in your car for too long in the winter and then you come into a nice little surprise of it all over the roof of your car.
Like, that happened to you?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Only once, never again.
Right, yeah.
But when you say that, I always think of on our floor, we use PFF.
Sure.
As an abbreviation, because in logistics, why say the full thing when you could make it into an acronym? So I think that is something that we see on our boards often. As soon as we hit like mid-November, and it goes all the way into like sometimes April.
I'm from Michigan, so
Yeah, you get it.
you get cold weather up there in May sometimes. June. It snowed in June, they used to say. Are you a cold weather person?
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope. I prefer like 80s to 90s. That's my temperature that I thrive in. I like it really hot.
That's a little bit warm for me. I wouldn't consider myself a cold weather person. The frustration of we're heading into that season where you wear like a full parka and a winter hat for the thankfully I live only like 10-15 minutes from the office, and just for like the 30 seconds getting out from your car to the door, and then you take everything off and leave it, either hang it up or leave it somewhere, and then you put everything back on for the 30-second walk to your car.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. How do you know if your product requires freeze protection?
Hopefully not from trial and error. Hopefully you are doing some research. But I think, the biggest thing that comes to mind when you're thinking of if your product needs freeze protection is normally liquids. So if you have beverages or if you have some sort of product that has liquid in it, that's usually the first thing that people think of when looking at protect from freeze. And then that goes into certain types of packaging, but also things like snack foods are important to remember. In any temperature, you may have to watch those temperatures, as well as cosmetics. It's something that you need to be careful of with Protect for Freeze. It's not just food.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't know if you've, this may happen with chapstick, but it's happened to me before with lipstick. Leaving lipstick in the car when it freezes, and it's just, you can't use it. Doesn't go on the same, gets lumpy, and no one wants that for lipstick.
That's just something that you definitely don't want to do.
No, not at all. So, luckily it was just my car, but an entire pallet or entire truck of that would be a disaster.
That would be bad news. That would be bad news. Obviously, the liquids is the easiest one. You talked about maybe some dry foods as well.
Yeah.
Anyone in particular?
So when it comes to dry foods, the first thing I think of is anything that contains chocolate or dairy products, which includes eggs. It can actually change the texture, the taste, and the color of things. When, for example, chocolate will bloom, the sugar and the milk will kind of come to the surface and it won't be as appealing looking, but you also won't get the same taste from that. So as someone who is an avid baker, it's very serious if you have eggs that are too cold when you start baking, because it can make it lumpy, it can make it take longer to cook. And once you have something that you make, you need to make sure if you refrigerate it or not. Because again, like if I make a pie, I need to refrigerate it, because if I leave it out over in the counter, the texture changes. So It's just kind of those things that you have to think about over long term. Like 20 minutes in the fridge won't hurt it, but I don't know, 2 days over the road in 20 degrees or less temperatures can definitely change
cause
the
a
product.
problem.
Yeah.
Sure. Wow, my mind is blown right now. That's awesome. Talk to me about what we do in terms of preparation for protect from freeze. Like, what do we need from our customers, or what do we do internally to help us out?
So I think one of the most important things is to understand the products and the SKUs that we're dealing with. So we understand how it's packaged, what type of ingredients are included in that. For example, if you're shipping granola bars, you really want to make sure which granola bars have chocolate versus which granola bars don't, because that can change. If you have a little bit of chocolate and it starts to bloom, it can cause problems. So understanding that, and then you can decide based off of what the SKUs included or the product, if that product may need temperature controlled or protect from freeze, which in my mind are different. Temperature controlled and protect from freeze are two different things.
Agreed.
And a lot of people will confuse them as the same thing. So setting those expectations are really important, understanding the product, and then also understanding what temperatures those products can withstand to, and that goes a lot to the packaging. So depending on what type the packaging is, may dictate how that product is transported. For example, if you have carbonated cans that you want to ship over rail, let's say from, like New York to California,
okay,
you need to be careful about when that's being transported. Because yes, it's continuously moving. Sometimes that helps the integrity of the product.
Sure.
But if you get stuck at an interchange point and you have carbonated, canned beverages, you are looking at a possible explosion. And that causes problems not just due to the fact that your product is no longer there, but also you damage that container. It has to be cleaned, and it just kind of creates a whole mess in more than one way.
Clean up at Freight Interchange, Chicago.
Yes, exactly. And you could think maybe, I don't have to worry about it. It's, 50 degrees right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to ship it ambient or dry trailer. And then the weather can change depending on where you're going into. So we understand that Canopy has a really cool thing in it called a weather overlay.
Ooh.
That allows us to see, where wind temperatures, raining, if it's cold. So then that way we can really see where we're going and if we need to bring some concern or bring additional options when we're transporting that product, further distances.
What's up, truckers? If you love the Truck Yeah podcast, you'll also love the other content we create here at Zipline Logistics. I'm talking funny TikToks, weekly blogs, informational ebooks, client interviews, and so much more. To keep up with the latest CPG industry news and content, you can subscribe to Zipline Logistics retail resources by visiting www.ziplinelogistics.com/e-news or by simply clicking the link in the show notes. You don't want to miss out on the hottest expert insights on trending topics delivered right to your inbox. And you want to know the best part? It's completely free. So sign up using the link in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the episode.
But some packaging just expands, right? And that can end up, the product may not be ruined, but like the visualization of the packaging is ruined, or the I'm trying to think of the right word, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I get it.
You got a nice Tetra Pak, which is a cardboard-ish packaging for like a drink, and then all of a sudden it expands, and now it's just like a flailing Tetra Pak. It's not a nice clear box, and it's not. You can't put that on a shelf, basically. We're trying to avoid that too. So one of the other things too is, so we've gone through all the checklists, talked to our customers, we determined the temperature, we determined the type of packaging. What are we doing, like I said, here in the office to make sure that it's clear that this product does need protect from freeze?
So things that we are doing are making sure that we have the right information. So like I just kind of went on for way too long talking about understanding the product, then we need to make sure the expectations are set internally. So we have information on our orders, and that helps us regardless of what mode that we're going with. If we need to have the bill of lading for the LTL carrier, or make sure we have the right equipment for the full truckload carrier, or make sure that we understand how many stops are involved in case protect from freeze or temperature controlled needs to happen. And with that, I think we're also making sure that we understand the qualifications that the carrier has. So for example, for LTL, you need to make sure what kind of accommodations they can provide. Every carrier may provide something a little bit different, and varies, and even further so, some carriers will prevent or restrict protect from freeze services under certain temperatures. And it's higher than you would expect. So it's not like it's like negative temperatures. It can sometimes be like 40 or 50 degrees. We're not shipping beverages because it could be too cold and there's too much of a liability. So we're making sure that that information is clear to our customers so we can let them know that even though you wanted to ship this LTL, you're possibly going to see this load roll more than expected because of the temperature. So let's consolidate with another shipment, or let's ship it full truckload to get it there on time.
Coming up with a unique solution. I like the internal red flags, if you will, or extra comments that we put for our carrier teams. We're putting that in our internal orders, and then we are sending out a bill of lading in most cases, both certainly for LTL, but sometimes for truckload too. to make sure that those instructions are very, very clear. The options as far as what type of trucks we can use, there's certainly refrigerated, temperature-controlled trucks out there, right? They're going to set the temperature at 45 to 65 degrees. That will definitely protect it from freezing. What else?
We can use covers and cargo blankets to help, depending on what the product is and what the temperature needs. We can also make sure that we have in, a backup plan to prevent trucks from idling, so you can actually cross-dock things, or you can possibly even keep the trailer running at a certain temperature over the weekend or layovers, as cold weather also seems to link up with a lot of holidays. And so you're going to have more of those times where product might be sitting longer than expected. But also, we try to make sure that we line up the lanes accordingly so we don't have that idle time. So if it's a 2-day transit, we try to prevent it from going from a Friday to a Monday so we don't have to have an extra day of it sitting in the trailer. Doesn't always work with MABDs, but it's always something that we try to get across to really help protect the integrity of the product.
Nailed it. One of my favorite is the cargo blankets. That's just wrap your pallet up in a little snuggle. Or what do they call it? Snuggie. Right?
Yes.
Snuggie for product.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So then we're using a lot. You mentioned our weather on Canopy, our weather overlay on Canopy. So we can kind of use predictive analytics, if you will, to determine where the cold weather is going to be. Some retailer customers, right, require things as well.
Yep.
So I know Meyer requires using what's called a Sensitech temp tail.
I think it's called a temp tail, yeah.
Okay. How about some other ones?
Hy-Vee requires temp trip LED tags.
Okay.
Others include, it's called a warm mark or a temp dot. And basically anything that's a real-time temperature monitor. Some people will actually ask for those specific things. It has to be that specific thing, whereas other retailers just need to have some sort of a confirmation of what the temperature is. And some customers will do that as well. So they put their own temperature tags on there just to make sure that in transit there's no problems. So before it gets to a place like UNFI where they test it, they know in advance if there's any issues or not. And that can help because if you know there's an issue, you can actually, maybe push the delivery back a day or two, get it checked, make sure it gets back up to where it's supposed to be, or send a new shipment in its place if that temperature control is going to cause an issue with the product.
That's awesome. What else can Zipline do to help protect from freeze shipments?
I think communication and education is one of the best things that Zipline can do because there's a lot that goes into packaging. And through my experience of working with customers here is that it's not thought of how is this product going to stand up shipping to CVS in February? It's, how do I want this to how does it look online? How does it look on the shelves? How does it look for social media? And so understanding what our customers' needs and wants are with that packaging allows us to make the right plans and put things in place to keep that integrity of the product the entire transit and not have any issues. If you really want it to be glass, that can be worked around to make sure that glass does not have issues during those cold weather months.
To target us or consider us logistics solutions consultants, okay? So we are, I've been here 11 years, you've been here 12 years. We've come across most scenarios here, certainly around this topic, protect from freeze, and we're always thinking ahead. We mentioned the Canopy weather overlay, we mentioned experience, et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying to think ahead and ask the right questions of our customers, and then preparation and communication. So we're putting everything in place ahead of time and communicating to all the right parties, the carrier, our internal carrier teams, our shippers, our customers' shippers, the receivers, getting their expectations set ahead of time so that there are no curveballs, no mishaps, no hurdles, whatever you want to call it, that happen along the process of picking, packing, shipping, loading, etc.
Absolutely.
So we're setting everything up for everyone to succeed, which is what we do.
Yep.
If you want to call us, if you want to ship your freight and you need it protect from freeze, 888-GO-ZIPLINE, www.ziplinelogistics.com. Teddy, thanks as always for your help. Thank you to our listeners for enjoying us on another edition of the Zipline Logistics podcast. We'll see you next time.